what I would say is, you can live without your legs and you can live without your hands. But you cannot live without the love that casts out all fear.
Oh, I heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love, the dead of night, and you tell me.
I am a homegrown Louisiana boy. I grew up in Northeast Louisiana, and after I graduated high school, moved to Florida to do continued education. I went to Bible college here. Stayed here. This is just a quick synopsis of my life. At 18, moved here. I had no clue why. Hated it. Drove home every other weekend because I was so homesick. 7 hours back and forth, literally. Moved here. Got planted here. Started to grow roots here after school. Met my wife here. Will be 5 years on the 25th of April. Bought a house here. Have a 3-year-old daughter, Charlie Beth. Just celebrated my son, Chandler Monroe's first birthday on March 16th. So this is where I am now. On September 3rd of last year, 2012, I was at a Labor Day party, a pool party, with a bunch of friends from church, and we were just hanging out playing. I have been playing with my kids all day. Nothing different. I grew up with a pool. Now I've spent 8 years at the beach doing beach vacations every year, very comfortable in the water, diving, jumping, doing way riskier things than the last 15 minutes we were there. I dove into the deep end from the sidewalk, and somehow I still don't know how. I either overcompensated or misjudged my momentum and hit right on the top of my head. I hit the bottom of the pool. So I dive in the pool. I feel like just like any time you would hit your head, or if you've ever banged your head on something, you have that moment of like, ow, what was that? And then I opened my eyes and I was trying to move my arms, and I was like, man, I must have like jarred my, just like hitting your funny bone. You can't move your arm and you're like, ah. I was like, I really didn't panic. So I was like, well, let me try and turn with my body just to turn over. I knew well enough to hold my breath and not release all my air. Couldn't turn over, and then when I opened my eyes, I thought my hands were above my head, like trying to swim through the water to turn over. And when I opened my eyes, I realized my arms were by my side. So in that moment, I realized that my life was different. Turns out I broke my C5, 6, and 7, shattered my C6, and have a spinal cord injury there at that level. From the moment of the accident, I've been paralyzed. At the moment of the accident, pretty much at the bottom of my neck down, I couldn't move or feel anything at all. So I'm laying there in the water, looking face down, realizing, okay, I either have some spinal shock or hit my head hard enough that my body's not responding. I really didn't even think I had broken my neck or was paralyzed. I just knew something was wrong. Now I have to communicate that I'm not joking and laying on top of the water. And I knew my wife was beside the pool, so I shook my head once, and then I waited, and I shook my head again, and then I waited, and the third time I shook my head nonstop. And my wife says that on the third time she looked over and saw a little plume of blood at the top of my head. So she jumped in, turns me over, and I said, I've either broken my neck or done something. I cannot move. I didn't even require stitches or staples on the top of my head. It wasn't even like I busted my head open. It was just the right momentum at the right angle. I hit my neck. They held me there beside the pool, and I looked over at my wife and I actually never once did either of us panic. I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't feel like I was being irresponsible. I wasn't jumping off a roof or intoxicated or anything irresponsible. It just was an accident. And I told her, I said, I'm sorry, but what we're about to walk through is going to be hard, but I believe we can make it.
Perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways.
So I laid in the bed totally from my accident until my second surgery for 44 days and could not move. Then they put in the back, they came in, and this is where my huge scar is. From my C3 down to my T2, I put in 2 8-inch titanium rods and 14 screws. My neck is no longer broken, for sure. And from September 20th until February 28th, my wife, my then 2-year-old, now 3-year-old, and my then 5-month-old, now 1-year-old, lived in Atlanta, where I had intensive rehab starting as early as 8 or 8:30 in the morning until 4 or 4:30 at night. And for reasons that I know only God can explain, I now can move my arms, still can't move my fingers yet, and my legs, I still don't have movement. I have sensation. I can feel my feet. I can feel most parts of my legs and my bottom. I have some spotty sensation here across the front. But as you can see, I can do a lot more than just barely bend a wrist or lift my arm. Very working towards independence, and my wife and I can get me in and out of a car from a manual chair, which is really an achievement at the level of injury that I have. So that's what has happened when my life was turned upside down, now 7 months ago. That is not near about the story I would tell of being the main breadwinner in my home, a newlywed, a new father, and that entire carpenter foundation being pulled out from under you as you know it, to now being completely dependent from personal care, feeding. I cannot walk. I cannot I couldn't even sleep at first. I couldn't even sleep 2 hours at a time without being turned in the bed to guarantee that I didn't have skin issues and pressure issues. So to be a 27-year-old man and that happen makes you really realize the value of life. And I realized in that moment that I can live without legs, I can live without hands, but you cannot live without love. Literally in about all my wife, my 2 kids, and we would have friends that we have here in Florida would come up a week at a time and spend the week with us and take care of our kids during the day so Bethany could be with me in therapy, or she could do all the things that it's taken to sort out after getting hurt like this. Ultimately, the answer to the question, if I knew it was going to happen, would I still do it? I would still do it. I did not realize really what's important, what's not temporary, what's not valuable, until you realize if I can wake up and have breath, and I can know someone or love someone or care for someone or just be grateful that I woke up and had breath, you realize that's really what it's all about. And this fast-paced, give-it-to-me-now world we live in, everything is so consumed. We consume everything. I need this, I need that, I have to have this, I have to have that. You really don't have to have these things. I have learned that if I look at my life as something that I deserve, then it really won't make much of an impact. And raising children, having a marriage, in my marriage, it's not about what I deserve. It's about what I can give to my wife to make her feel like the only thing in the world. Even from a chair. Even though I really can't effectively, efficiently clean up or pick up toys or do this and that, because I can't get down on the floor, or I can't go and warm something up. I can't do those things. You know, I say I can't. When you have a 3-year-old wanting to go run out across the street and see a dog, and a 1-year-old screaming for food, in the moment I can't. If I was at home by myself, I could probably take 30 minutes and maybe get a glass of water. But I tell you what I can do is I can assure my wife and my children and every person, not only that I continue to meet with the people around me, I can assure that they know how grateful I am to see them every single time I see them. I can assure that every time I fall asleep and I wake up And I'm like, another day. I can tell you that when you lay face down in a swimming pool, even the most comfortable place that you grew up, since I was 8 years old, we've had a swimming pool at my house growing up. Laying face down in a pool, knowing this could be it. This could be it. And immediately in that moment, like the first things I think about are not, I wish I made more money. I wish that I could put this in my house, or I wish my house was like this, or I wish I could buy my wife this car, I wish that we were more successful, or I wish that I could travel here and go there. I can tell you that in that moment, the immediate thing I thought about was, I don't want my wife to be alone to raise our kids. And I don't want my daughter down the aisle and see my kid's graduation. And you know, that's the things I thought of, and I'm like, you know what? It's not going to end here. And I believe God spoke to me in that moment and said, this is not the end here. It's just a bend in the road. It's not the end of the road. It's just a bend. And things are not going to be easy, but they're going to be so much better. And let me tell you, suffering or tragedy or catastrophe or accident, sickness, illness, it's very easy. And I believe people around you that even love you, or strangers, it's very easy for you to have the woe is me card, like, feel sorry for myself. And do I say that doesn't knock on my door every now and then? Absolutely it does. And there are moments where I let myself sink there. Yeah, I might dabble in that pool, so to speak, for a second. But I'm still here. I am still here. I can say, you know what? If this is an opportunity where people will turn an ear or turn an eye or stop in this fast-paced, non-stop world where we're always trying to achieve or climb a ladder or get somewhere, will stop and look at me and say, like, oh man, when I'm in the mall and they see, me and my wife, who I can't move and hold my wife's hand at the same time. Rolling through the mall, and I've got a double stroller. She's got the double stroller, and here I am rolling right next to him. 3 of us on wheels, and Bethany pushing the stroller. That's living for the love. It's like, you know what? I am no greater than anybody else that walks this earth. It doesn't matter if they're halfway across the world or if they're my next door neighbor. There's got to be a way I can roll up right next to you and be like, hey, you know what? I'm right here with you. That's what I was saying. Perfect love is inconvenient. Love is inconvenient. Because when you say, I don't have the time to stop and do that. Well, God had the time to stop and keep me from drowning in a pool. And from showing me that even with all of my abilities revoked, that we would physically categorize what a husband and father is, I'm still not only enough for him, I'm enough for my family. That's inconvenient. I want to love like that, don't you? I really do.
Always perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. Oh, you're perfect in all of your ways. To you are. Never changing, you are perfect. Always been perfect, always been loving.